Hi guys, welcome back. I thought I'd give it another go for one of these videos. I'm just going to make sure that you can see the screen. My fancy new tool hopefully has worked it out that you can see the screen a bit better now. So let's give it a go. Oh, before we do actually, I'm so proud of you all for logging on, not only just to PE but to the whole of year 9 as well, for logging on so many times to Doddle. I'm really taking pride in that education, in your education, but I'm even more proud of you guys. Everyone logged on to the task last week. On Doddle I could see the likes on YouTube, so obviously you're making really good use of your time at home there and really taking that pride in your education like I've just said. So let's get cracking. So today I'm not actually going to tell you what we're looking at first. First of all, we're going to do a bit of a recap, and what you'll notice, let me just check if you can still read it, is that you have 4 sort of different topics, but they're all quite similar. They're all quite similar topics, and this is what I was talking about in class about 2 weeks ago now. They are quite easy to mix up. Once you get the hang of it, they're all right. You know, you can sort of work out the differences and know the difference. But when you're first starting out, you hear all these different topics, all these different things, and it's really difficult to differentiate between them. So I thought it'd be really important just for us to separate them out and really get them clear in our minds, and maybe make some notes about it too. So your first task, guys, is to have a look at these. So the principles of training, the methods of training, fitness classes and fitness tests, all different topics in their own right. The 2 most similar are methods of training and fitness classes. So they're the 2 most similar. They sort of go hand in hand, but they are 2 slightly different topics. And then principles of training is one on its own, and so is fitness testing. We do them all for different reasons. Okay, so first task is unjumble all these, put them into 4 different columns, and go from there. If you can't see the screen for whatever reason, on Doddle you've got all the information you need. You've got the printouts in PDF and on PowerPoint. The same for you for your Microsoft Word and your PDF there as well. So you should be able to see everything that you need there. Okay, if you've not, get in contact. Doddle help at chorltonhigh.org.uk, and we'll be able to help you out that way. Okay. I should have said pause the video before you look at this. Hopefully you did do already. So we've recapped it out here. So principles of training, you've got your sporting fit there. What I'd like to point out was I'm going to add another principle of training in that I naughtily didn't put in last time by mistake. It's new to the spec. So, and that is overtraining. Luckily it's not really a dead fancy one that we need to sort of take a real hard look at. Overtraining really simply is when you train too much. So you can either train too much in a week and your muscles won't be working at their full potential. So that's one real problem. The second problem with that is that you're more likely to become injured, and then you'll be out for a certain amount of time, and that's when reversibility starts to take place. So you really actually don't want to overtrain. It can really have a negative effect on your body. And if you speak to any pro athlete or any pro coach, they'll be saying overtraining is one of the biggest problems with professional athletes, and even with amateur athletes as well. Sometimes they try too hard and they break those muscle fibres down too much, or put their bones in more jeopardy. Another way you can overtrain is not only too much during the week or during the month. You can also overtrain during a session. You can take it too far sometimes. So either the intensity could be too high. Usually it's more to do with sort of weight training side of things, or maybe you do too many long runs, for example, during the week, and it really takes its toll on the bones and the ligaments and the tendons and also the muscles. Okay, so overtraining is quite a simple one really. We don't need to know much more than that, so don't worry about it. Methods of training, we've got the ones that you did last week there. So these 6 here, this is an old slide, I've only just realised. You need to take out cross training. Sorry, my television's just playing up a little bit. Take out cross training and plyometric training should be in there. Okay, I'll change that on the slides for you. Fitness classes, you've got your body pump, aerobics, spinning, Pilates and yoga. We went through them in the last class in the the methods of training lesson as well. Okay, and then you've got your fitness test as well. There are more fitness tests than this. Don't forget, a fitness test, I could just run from here, if we weren't on lockdown, from here to the Hilton, and back again, and time how long it took me to get there and back. And then I could train, I could do that again in 4 weeks' time and see if I've improved. That's a fitness test. It's just not an official one. We need to know the official one. So you've got these ones here. There are loads more. These are just some of the ones we need to know for the exam. There's a few missing off, but I don't want to bombard you with loads of different boxes. Okay, so make sure you know those guys. Okay, moving on. Okay, so what we're looking at today is we're looking at fitness test data and then using that data to plan a fitness session for an athlete or for yourself. We'll get onto that later on. So we're looking at really using the principles of training once we've worked out where our strengths and weaknesses lie. So give yourself just a little bit of time just to make sure you understand these questions here. I'm not going to spend time going through this. I don't want the YouTube video to be too long. Okay, we know what we're looking at. Okay, so you might have heard me say the word normative data. I think I just said it then. The best way, as I always say, to try and remember some technical terms is break down what it means. If you can link it to other words or swap that one word out and put another word in, it really help you remember where it fits in vocabulary. You could also break the word down. So that's what we're going to do here today. Just going to make sure you can read it. Okay, so normative, for me it's that word norm. Where have I heard that word norm before? So I think normal straight away. So what's the normal data? I can start to see a link there. So my guess, if I didn't know what it would be, was what's the data for other people maybe in the country, for example. And that's pretty much what it is. So if we'll have a look. So the norm is a pattern or a standard. So what's normal? Yeah. A good way to remember it is what normally happens for an average bleep test score, or what normally happens for an excellent bleep test score. It's all about averages as well. Okay, so normative data is the data that everyone else who does these tests, what they get. So, for example, an excellent score for the 12-minute Cooper run test is around about over 3,000 meters, and we'll give you we'll give you that data. Don't worry, you don't have to remember all that data. That is not something we would expect you to do. You might be useful to have an idea of what's excellent and what's average, for example. It's good for your coursework as well. All this stuff is vital knowledge for your coursework too. So really make sure you get to grips with that, because you're going to be doing that in year 10. Okay. So hopefully you understand what normative data is. All right, we're moving on to the first task. Okay. So, I have given you 3 different fitness test results from 3 different athletes. These are examples, they're not official ones. So I've sort of drawn this up for you. You've got your health-related tests, you've got 2 there, and skill-related tests there as well. What I'd like you to do, first of all, is link the fitness tests to the components of fitness that it tests. Okay? For example, the first one, you've got the multi-stage fitness test, otherwise known as the bleep test, okay, or the beep test, whatever you want to call it. So that tests cardiovascular endurance or aerobic endurance. They're both the same thing. Should I say cardiovascular fitness is the better phrase to use? I apologise. So I would write that in that box there. The 1 rep max for the squat tests muscular strength. Okay, you could also have 1 rep max for the bicep curl. You could have that for anything. The alternate ball toss test, you've got for coordination, more specifically hand-eye coordination. And the 30 metre dash is for speed. So I've done that first slide for you. You've got 2 more that you can do. Okay, and then what I'd like you to do, I'm not going to do this one for you, is in the final column, you're going to write how this relates to the normative data. So in the multi-stage fitness tests, this male long distance runner got level 11, stage 8. Okay, so quite high, but we're not sure if that's average, above average, excellent, what or what. Okay, so in this column, you're going to use the sheets that I've put on Doddle. You are going to take the result and see where it fits. Okay, you're going to see where it fits. Where does it fit? Poor, average, above average, whatever. You're going to write that in there. You're going to do the same for the rest of them. So pause this, and I will meet you on the next slide. Okay, so by now you should have a list of the fitness test results, what components of fitness it has been testing, and how it compared to the normative data, to how other people, to what other people achieved on this test. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now, underneath those tables, or if you've just done one, that's fine. But if you've done more, fantastic. What I'd like you to do is just really briefly summarise what their strengths and weaknesses were. So what were they good at, what weren't they very good at, okay? And then I'd like you just to really briefly, again, this is just to get your thought process going, what do they need to do to improve their performance? So what method of training could they use? What fitness classes could they go to? Hopefully now you're really starting to see how it all ties together. So why these topics tie together, but also why we need to know that they're separate as well. Okay. You can have a think about this question, the second question there. Don't worry about that too much. We're going to do that on the next slide. So pause the video, and then I'll meet you in about 3-4 minutes. Okay, so the next task, I'm hoping that you can see this. If not, obviously use the PDF slides. So I've given 3 different training plans for each athlete. You're only going to choose one. You do not have to do this for everyone. Okay, so choose one. The hardest one I would say is the heptathlete. Okay, because you've really got to take into account all the different events. They've got to be good in all of them, pretty much. They'll be better in some than others, but they've got to be at least an all-rounder in them. Okay, the long distance runner might be the easiest. So easy, medium, hard, I would say. Okay, and what I'd like you to do is, these training plans aren't perfect. So take hold of the fitness test results that you have. Now you'll know where they're average, where they're below average. What you also need to think about is, does it matter that the long distance runner hasn't got very good hand-eye coordination? Does that matter? It matters a bit for technique, for example, but is it crucial to them winning that race, or do they need to focus on something else? And could you just have that in there somewhere? Or does it even need to be in there at all? It's up to you. There's loads of different opinions knocking around in different articles and stuff, so there is a general right answer for this task that you're about to do, but there's also arguments to why, for example, coordination should take more part of a training plan for a runner, and some people might say don't bother with it at all. So there's a bit of an argument, but you'll hopefully will have worked out what the main sort of methods of training there should be for the long distance runner. This laptop's really starting to annoy me. So your task is take that information that you have just used. If you have a sheet, stick it in. Same rule still applies as the classroom. If you've printed out the sheet. And then I'd like you to just annotate annotate one of these three. What would you take out? So cross through what you could take out. Maybe write something else in that isn't there that you'd like to be in that training plan. So for example, I don't know, let's have a look at this long distance runner. Are there too many rest days? If you've got 3 rest days, it would suggest that the athlete is maybe sort of average level fitness. If he's really trying to improve, could we take out a rest day? But be careful about which one that you do. Okay. What you'll notice is, I'll give you a clue. Monday and Sunday, that says rest day. So they've got two rest days. I misread that. So the race days there, they've got a rest day on the Monday. So I'd probably keep that in there. On the Friday, they've got a rest day. So I'd probably keep that in there. So 2 rest days for his standard is all right. So what else might you take out, move around? Okay. For me, I might take, to improve his score, I might take one of these skill-based training out and turn that 10k run into a longer run, possibly. Okay. So have a play around. There's no massive right or wrong answer here. But whatever you do, you've got to have a reason behind it. Do you think it makes sense? Okay, could you argue it? That's what I'm more bothered about. Okay. So, I should have said pause it again. If you haven't done that other task, pause it first, do the last task from the last slide. If you have, brilliant, move on to this one, okay? You've got 2 choices of task here. You have got either the first task, which is, so now that you've planned 1 week's training for your chosen athlete, so the long distance runner, for the footballer, or for the heptathlete, okay, you are now going to do the next 2 or 3 weeks of their training program. So you really need to think about the principles of training here. So for me, in the first week should be easier than the 3rd week. Yeah. So when you get to that 3rd week, that should be not loads harder, but a little bit harder, a little bit more intense than the 1st week. So do they need 1 more training day and 1 less rest day? Do they need to up the intensity? So notice I'm going through FIT here, so frequency, intensity, time. So could you up the frequency during the week? Could you up the intensity? So could they be working at a higher working heart rate? Could they be doing longer sessions? Okay, so there are probably 3 main ways you can improve the intensity there, increase it, should I say. In the 2nd week, it's up to you. You could keep it the same, so it could be the same as week 1. A lot of the time, you can do training programs in 2-week blocks. So the first 2 weeks will be the same training block, and then the next 2 weeks. That's a simplified version, but it's done quite a lot. Or could you have week 1, week 2 slightly more difficult, week 3 slightly more difficult again, and keep going like that. Okay, that's how we progressively overload. Yeah. So I'm just making sure that my watch hasn't turned the camera off. No, we're still going. We're still good to go. So that's your first one. What I'd actually prefer you to do in these current circumstances is have a quick think about what you do here. But actually, could you do your own indoor training plan for yourself? You've heard me banging on about the Nike Training Club app. There's loads of exercises on there. There's loads of exercises on YouTube. We've put some fitness classes on our PE YouTube channel, which is linked to the Chorlton High YouTube channel, which hasn't launched officially yet, but there's some good stuff on there as well. Have a look at those. You could implement them into your training plan. I think it'd be a good thing for you to practice this, because this is what your coursework is next year. So it'd be a good idea to get an idea of what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, and where you would like to improve, and for what sport you would like to improve for. Okay. So have a think. Obviously, you won't be able to do the on many fitness tests. You might be able to sort of do a few at home if you're inventive and a bit creative. So you hopefully though you will have a good idea about what components of fitness you're weak in and what you're strong in. So for example, for myself, my muscular strength is useless. I'm not very strong in the slightest, but my cardiovascular fitness is actually pretty good. Okay, I can keep going for ages. For me, I would need to improve my muscular strength because when I'm on the bike going up hills, I'm really slow. I struggle to get up the hills, so I need that strength to be able to push those pedals. Yeah. Whereas if I was just running, it might not be as important, but obviously for the hills and running, it would be important as well. So that's something I need to work on. Yours might be a lot different. Your coordination might not be very good, and you might be a goalkeeper for football, or a netball player, or a hockey player. So you might need to improve that. That might help improve your performance. So have a real think. So what I would suggest doing for you guys, so you're in year 9, but you're sports people, you're all pretty active, you're all pretty fit, so in general. So I would say, why not try and do something active every day, but do 4 proper sessions between half an hour and an hour for 4 days of the week. So there's your frequency to start off with, yeah? Then you can decide the intensity. So if you went on the Nike Training Club app or the YouTube channel, on the PE YouTube channel for Chorlton, so Chorlton High PE, on both of those things, it's split into beginners, intermediates and advanced. So you could choose some different sessions there. You could experiment as well. There's a plethora, there's loads of choice on YouTube too, if you don't fancy the Nike Training Club app. So just have a choice, have a play around. You've got some fitness classes there. You can make your own if you'd like. You can use anything as or anywhere as a fitness space. The other day I had a chair from my kitchen and actually I don't have any dumbbells at home, so I've got a big bottle of Comfort fabric softener. I filled it up with water and I used that as a dumbbell. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but it really worked, and actually my muscles are quite still sore from the workout the other day because I used it alongside the Nike Training Club app. Give it a go. So maybe just plan out the first 4 weeks of your fitness session. Yeah, I think it'll be really, really worth it for you, and plus the exercise will really keep your brain ticking over, really help you feel better. We all know that why sport's so good. Make use of it. Don't just sit there on the sofa after you've done your work, your class work and stuff. Okay? So please really make good use of it. I hope that this session has helped out. If you do have any questions at the moment, we're trying to work on ways for you to interact a little bit more. Please bear with us as a school. We are trying to work out different ways for you to ask questions. I know a fair few of you might have some questions that you wanted to clarify for me. I'm sorry if I've not preempted them. I try to think as much as I can to help you out. But like I said last time, if you have any questions alongside your notes, maybe have a little section at the bottom. Loads of you are brilliant for this anyway. Just write down a little question or a little question mark, maybe highlight it, and when you bring your notes in, whenever we see each other next, we can have a little catch-up session where we get up to any questions that you might have, and we can clarify them then. Don't worry guys, you guys are not going to miss out on anything for the future that you need to know. We're not going to let that happen, okay? So keep making me proud, keep working hard, write those notes down, write those questions down. Hopefully we'll have a way of answering your questions soon. I hope this has made sense, and I will, fingers crossed, see you guys soon. Bye.